I'm Roger M. Wilcox, and oh no! I dropped a cookie! Oh well, 5-second rule, right? There we go. It was on the floor for less than 5 seconds, so I'm safe. It couldn't have picked up any bacteria in that time. Except no. This hypothesis that any food in contact with the floor needs a certain number of seconds before the bacteria will be picked up from it has been tested. And it's been tested by no less illustrious groups than Mythbusters. And one of the things these tests show almost consistently is, regardless of the type of floor, regardless of the type of food, if there are any bacteria on the floor that can be picked up, they will be picked up inside of pretty much 0 time. The moment the food makes contact with the floor, bacterial transfer happens. No matter, so waiting a little bit of time is not going to help you. So, if you drop a piece of food on the floor, I have to formally recommend that you do not pick it up and eat it. That being said, it's not just the floor that has bacteria on it. Every surface has bacteria. There are bacteria on your fingers. There's bacteria on that table you set the food down on before you ate it. There is bacteria in the container that the food came out of, unless the container was sterilized beforehand. The whole surface of the earth, and even the air you breathe, is crawling with bacteria. But the good news is, most of those bacteria are harmless. Now, of course, there are a few bacteria out there that are dangerous, that can give you foodborne illnesses. There's certain strains of E. coli, not all strains, just a few. There's the dreaded fecal bacteria. There's botulinum bacteria, which produces the botulism toxin, which is really, really bad. But there are measures we can take to reduce the incidence of actually coming into contact with those bacteria, of actually eating food that has been contaminated with those bacteria. We wash our hands after we go to the bathroom. We can wipe down that countertop with soap and water. And yes, you only need regular soap. Those fancy antibacterial soaps, well, those extra chemicals aren't really necessary. Plain old soap and water is already bactericidal. Whenever you eat something, you're basically playing Russian roulette with foodborne illness. Only difference is here, the odds of getting that chamber with the bullet in it are much less than they are with a regular 6-round revolver. And even if you do get that unlucky bullet, most foodborne illnesses are non-lethal. They're just really, really, really inconvenient. But woe betide that person who loses the Russian roulette game with a foodborne illness that is lethal. So if the 5-second rule makes no difference at all as to your odds of picking up dangerous bacteria off the floor, then what is the purpose of the 5-second rule? The answer is, it's a psychological trick. And it's a psychological trick that's actually pretty useful. Humans have this very, very narrow window of attention known as the transient attention span. It's this short period of time in which they can concentrate on something without having to really focus on it. And according to some researchers, this transient attention span may be as short as 8 seconds long. In fact, you may have noticed that this video has been filmed in segments that are only about 8 to 10 seconds long. A little longer in some other cases. This is because I don't have a teleprompter. I'm not reading off a script. I have to remember everything I'm going to say for the next segment that I'm filming. And if it's longer than a certain amount of time, I'll start to stumble over my words and try to remember. In other words, I'm filming this video in a way that takes advantage of my transient attention span. If you drop a piece of food onto the ground and you pick it up within 5 seconds, and you know that less than 5 seconds have elapsed between the time you dropped it and the time you picked it up, then you can be sure that you haven't lost track of that piece of food in that time, since it was on the floor. You can be sure that between the time you dropped it and the time you picked it up, nothing else has happened to that food where it was outside of your attention. Let's say you're in a busy internet cafe and you're playing World of Warcraft on your laptop, and you are in a dungeon with 4 other players, and you are the party's healer. And they're going through the dungeon and you're trying to keep up with them, and you're kind of concentrating on the action on the screen while absent-mindedly eating stuff that you've brought along with you, and then you accidentally drop a cookie on the floor. If you immediately bend over and pick that cookie back up, you can be sure that nothing other than hitting the floor has happened to that cookie since you dropped it. On the other hand, suppose you drop the cookie on the floor, and then before you can turn around and pick it up, you notice, oh my gosh, the tank just pulled the boss. Quick, move up to the tank, heal him, good, keep him topped off. Oh, quick, stay out of the fire, crap, stay out of the fire. Damn it, the rogue's in the fire again, gotta heal him too. Come on, don't let the rogue die, he does most of our DPS. Okay, got the situation under control, Oh no, here comes phase 2. I have to heal all 40 party members at once. Darn it, where's my AoE healing button? Where is it? Oh yeah, it's the one that looks like a mushroom. Okay, boom, there we go. That should keep him alive at least. Damn, come on, rejuve. Okay, there we go, come on, yeah, keep yourself healed too. Don't forget to keep yourself healed too. And the boss is finally dead. Yay! Hey, wait a minute. Didn't I drop a cookie about a minute ago? Now, when you turn around and bend over to pick up that cookie, yeah, it's still on the floor, but you can't be sure of what was happening to it when your attention was elsewhere. It's been on the floor for a minute, and when you were focused on your screen, God knows what happened to it. Maybe somebody walked their dog past it and the dog peed on it. You don't know. You can't tell. It's been out of your control. And so you think, did I drop this more than 5 seconds ago? Am I sure that I dropped it less than 5 seconds ago? Can I absolutely be sure it was less than 5 seconds ago? If I can't, I'd better not pick it up. The 5-second rule is a quick rule of thumb to ensure that the thing you dropped on the floor has not been out of your sight and has not had anything happen to it when you weren't paying attention. And no, the phrase rule of thumb does not come from any ancient law about wife beating. There was a cartoon drawn in 1782 that was making fun of a judge for allegedly ruling that it was okay to beat your wife with any stick no thicker than your thumb. But guess what? The judge never actually ruled that, and there has never, ever been a statute saying that it's okay to beat your wife with a rod no thicker than your thumb. It's one of the stories people make up to make the past look bad, and those primitive backwards savages back then did this, and we're more enlightened than that now. You know. But I digress. The 5-second rule is merely a psychological trick to ensure that although you've dropped food on the floor, that nothing else besides dropping the food on the floor has happened between the time you dropped it and the time you picked it up. Speaking of psychological tricks and eating food you've dropped on the floor, if you're one of those people who is in the habit of picking food up off the floor that you've dropped and eating it, you may have noticed that the people around you usually react with disgust when they see you do it. Ew! You picked that up off the floor and ate it! Yeah. Well, as it turns out, there is a way to mitigate that reaction, and it relies on that narrow, transient attention span. Let's say you're in Target and you're walking around with a bag of popcorn. They sell popcorn in Target. I like Target popcorn, it's not bad. But if you keep walking around with it, eventually you will, as you're eating it, probably drop a piece onto the floor. Now, if you bend over and pick up that piece of popcorn you just dropped, and then eat it immediately, everybody who's looking at you is going to notice. And they're going to know, especially if there's somebody you've gone to the store with that you're talking with. They're going to know, hey, wait a minute, you just ate popcorn off the floor. Ew! But if you drop the popcorn on the floor and then pick it up and don't eat it immediately, well, then when you pick it up, the people who see you do it, including any shopping companions, are going to simply assume, oh, he picked it up off the floor because he intends to throw it away when we reach the nearest trash can. Then, if some seconds later, as you're carrying the popcorn in your other hand in the bag, you happen to pop that piece of popcorn you just picked up into your mouth and eat it, the people who are watching you won't make the connection. They'll simply think, oh, he's eating another piece of popcorn, completely unrelated to that thing I saw him do earlier, which I've already forgotten about. You'd have to be paying attention, or think about it and try to put two and two together to be able to figure out, hey, this person I'm with just picked some popcorn off the floor and then he ate it. Remember, that transient attention span is probably no longer than about 8 seconds. You'd have to put effort into focusing on something for longer than that. And if you're standing around conversing with someone while you happen to be eating popcorn, that person's not going to be paying most of their attention to the popcorn you're dropping on the floor. They're going to be listening to what you have to say and trying to think about it, or doing their shopping in Target, looking where all the aisles are and trying to avoid that shopping cart with 4 kids in it that's coming their way. And if your shopping companion does happen to say, hey, didn't you just pick that piece of popcorn up off the floor? You can always say, no, of course not. That would be gross. You got to be careful, though. Once you've played that, no, I didn't actually eat this popcorn off the floor card, your companion might be a little suspicious, and so you'll have to refrain from eating any popcorn off the floor from the rest of the trip. You know, they'll be paying a little bit better attention at that point. But that's the nice thing about all of the other patrons that you happen to be walking past that you're not shopping with, that are just other customers in the store. They're not going to be watching you for that long, and they're never going to make the connection. You don't have to worry about strangers telling you, ew, that was gross, or even reacting with a disgusted look on their face. Just be advised that all those feet walking on the floor are all depositing their own sets of germs, and you are playing Russian roulette whenever you pick food up off the floor to eat it. Kind of like the same way you're playing Russian roulette when you don't wash your hands before eating food, too. And to my long-term viewers, don't worry, this is the only video I intend to make about the subject of eating food off the floor. I'll go back to making stupid parody musicals or whatever next. Toodles!